My name is Shaun Rieley, and I live in Washington, D.C., and I work for a nonprofit called American Council of Trustees and Alumni, which is a higher ed nonprofit. We do higher ed policy on a range of issues and work with trustees to, hopefully better higher education in America. And I also am a PhD candidate at Catholic University in political theory. I was raised in a Christian home, a good Christian home. It was probably what I would, sort of reflecting back on it, I would call evangelical, small p Pentecostal, right? So it was non-affiliated Bible church, tongue speaking, very Bible-based, very godly. When I discovered that there was a thing called the Apostles' Creed and that I never had heard it before. Once I started looking into kind of what is this thing called the Apostles' Creed, and realizing that it is kind of the standard statement of the Christian faith and of orthodoxy, and had never having sort of heard it before, I realized that there's some kind of disconnect here. Although, it wasn't that the church I grew up in would have been out of sync with anything in there. It's just that it wasn't sort of explicitly taught as this is the foundation of our faith. After I graduated from high school, my parents took me to New York City for a weekend, my brother and I, just to kind of experience New York City. I'd never been before. And we went to St. Patrick's Cathedral, just as, sort of as tourists. But I remember thinking that the beauty of this place, like what is the beauty of this place, and how can I be part of this in some way, and sort of wanting somehow to unite myself with that beauty, but not really kind of understanding the possibilities. So this is when I was, I guess, 18 or 19, and so that was probably maybe the first seed of sort of toward Catholicism at that point. So beauty kind of led the way in a certain sense. I did a master's degree at St. John's College in Annapolis, and at St. John's, it's a great books program, which means you kind of read basically everything from Homer through Plato, Aristotle, up through basically Nietzsche. Okay, and in the course of that, of course, you read St. Augustine and some Aquinas. And so reading Augustine and Aquinas, and again, alongside Aristotle too, right, was another thing that kind of pushed me just a little bit more in that direction. So now, shifting from the beauty, now the sort of intellect side starts to become engaged, and through the reading of Augustine and Aquinas, which are probably the doors through which many people enter after beauty. So I came to the church in 2015, at Easter, 2015. So I would say prior to that, the sort of the immediate efficient cause, if you want, of me coming to the church at that point was Father Arnie. Many people know in the Washington, D.C. area know Father Arnie Padilla, who ran the Catholic Information Center on K Street, who had a great ministry there. I met him at a dinner party through mutual friends. I started chatting with him. Hey, I'm interested in the Catholic Church. I've been contemplating it for probably the better part of a decade or more. How do I do this? Didn't really have any idea kind of how to get it done. Didn't know whether you just walk in a church and find somebody or what. So Father Arnie gave me his card and said, let's meet. Just email me and let's meet. And a few weeks later, I met with him for the first time. And over the course of several months, we started just walking through the catechism together. After about 4 months, he sort of handed me off to Father Patrick Riffle, who was at St. Peter's Catholic Church on Capitol Hill. I mean, Father Arnie said, Protestants are the best because they always know the Scripture. And so, they're always gonna push back and sort of and ask like how this fits and so forth. But after walking through the entire, I don't know how many page catechism, 1,000 pages or whatever it is, and I pushed pretty hard. I pushed and said, what about how's this line up with Scripture, and how does this line up with Scripture on every point? And at every point, there was never a point at which I said, I cannot affirm this. But I never did RCIA. I never did like the standard RCIA. I always had individual instruction all the way through the catechism. And so we just walked through it together, and I came to the church on April, I'm sorry, yeah, April 2015.